Welcome back to Willie's Garage and welcome back to Coyote swapping my Foxbody. Today we are going to finish up this list I've got here, so stay tuned. So this is what I got on the list. A bunch of this stuff we're going to be able to get done today. There might be a couple of things that we might not be able to do, but this is everything that I pretty much need to get done to get this thing driving. Minus a drive shaft, which will actually be here tomorrow, but it's not going to make it in the video. That'll just get put into the first drive video, which may or may not be the next video because of this sneak peek. That dash is going to go in this video. However, the video for installing that dash isn't going to be in this video. That's going to be a separate video when I install it. But anyway, like I was saying, waiting on the drive shaft. I got to go get it tomorrow, which it's 2 hours away. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and knock out all this stuff that I need to on this list, starting with adjusting the fuel pressure. Not actually going to do that right now. Adjusting the fuel pressure, trans fluid, power steering fluid. All those are not going to get done until I can get this engine warmed up and trans warmed up, because the trans temperature needs to be at temperature to check the level, and then power steering fluid. I had to flip over or switch some lines over to the I had to switch the lines on the power steering rack. I had them switched because I've taken them off so many times routing things. I just forgot or accidentally put them on the wrong ones. Anyway, I got them flipped over, dumped a bunch of fluid out. So now I got to top it back off once I get the car running and the pump circulating the power steering fluid. Let's see. Next on the list, the fuel pressure regulator. I need the car running to get the proper pressure regulated for the fuel. Anyway, so I need the engine running for those three things before I cross those off the list. So moving on to the next thing that we can do, fix windshield wipers. For some reason, when I turn the car on, even though the switch is off, it still wipes the windshield. They still move. So this did happen when I initially got the car for some reason. I don't know why, but eventually it just went away. So that's kind of what I'm thinking this time. If it just goes away on its own, cool. If not, then I'll look into it. Engine mount bolts. Back when I initially got the engine mounts and the K-member onto the car, I was short one bolt because the hardware store didn't have it. And I finally got that bolt, so I'll go ahead and install that. Lug nuts, how to get new lug nuts, that's whatever, that's easy. Shifter linkage. Shifter linkage actually is in work. I've been kind of doing it in the background. I'm like one bend away from actually making it work. I'll go over that when we get to that. But diff cover fluid and bolts. I had to get new bolts. Well, I didn't have to, but I did get new bolts for the rear diff because, let's see if I can find it. Probably not. Well, anyway, these were the original ones. I barely even tightened the first bolt when I was putting the cover on, and it broke the head off of that one of the bolts. So I was like, I'm just gonna get all new bolts. That way I don't have to spend 3 hours digging out a broken bolt. So that's why I got all new bolts for the rear diff cover. That's the new engine mount bolt. And of course, the hardware store was short 1 3/4 inch bolt here, so I had to get a 1 inch bolt. Anyway, small town, not really small town, but small town problems. Anyway, fuel lines, I just need to route those back. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, probably not. But I just need to put the extra fuel line for the return and wrap it up and get it underneath the or above the fuel tank. That way it's not all just dangling down underneath the car. Move overflow tank up. This guy right here for the radiator. As you can see, this kit that I got, this is the aluminum radiator for the Foxbodies, and you can use it with the original engine or Coyote. And then this is the Ford Contour fan. And the instructions told me to locate the fuel or the overflow tank where it sits currently, but you can see with the Coyote and this radiator, it doesn't quite work out like I thought it would. The lower hose here is obviously up against this overflow tank, so I'm just going to move it all the way to the top there and call it a day. That should be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Window switch and door locks is the last thing. I know why the door locks aren't working, and that's because of this wire. This wire right here is the power for the door locks. In the wiring video I asked people what this was. Didn't get a response, but I finally figured it out. But yeah, it is the power to the door locks, and this is just a circuit breaker. So that's all there is to this, just extending the wire to constant battery. So, and then window switch, for some reason, passenger door switch works. Driver's window switch does not work. They feed off the same power, so I'm not 100% sure why the driver's door isn't working. I had this problem in the past, but I think it was actually the ignition wire that came loose. But since the driver or passenger window is working, I don't think it's a power issue, something else. So anyway, I'm gonna get started on the rear diff. I'm gonna put the cover on, put fluid in, and then move on to the next thing. Alrighty, got the rear diff cover here, and I actually got a gasket instead of using RTV. I used a gasket on my F-150, and it was a lot better than trying to RTV it and do all that. I hate RTV, it gets messy. But anyway, this is a lube blocker gasket. You can get them for the 8.8. They were like, I think it was like 13 bucks or something, so super cheap. But I accidentally got the Chinese variant, which, to be completely honest, isn't as good quality as the actual lube blocker product. So if you're on, I got it from Amazon, so if you're on Amazon getting this gasket, make sure you're getting the actual lube blocker one, not the Chinese version. So anyway, I'm gonna run it anyway because, well, actually I got two of them. And this one is already deteriorating from sitting in the oil, so that's cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack open that other one and use that one. Alright, got the rear cover on, all the bolts in. Shaved down that guy because it was too long, like I mentioned before. And yeah, painless, easy with that gasket, so that's why I like using them. Really didn't have to put that much effort into it. So now we're gonna come to the front side of this diff. All right, so the oil that I'm going to use for this diff is what is recommended by Ford from the factory, which I believe is a 75W90. I will 100% verify that in a second, but honestly, that fill plug looks pretty good. The magnet on it, so nothing really to worry about there as far as the gears go. Give that a quick clean. But like I was saying, 75W90 is what I'm going to use. I'm going to verify that with the manual here in a second and show you guys. And then also 4 ounces of friction modifier. I got that from Amazon as well when I got the gasket. So I'm gonna go grab that stuff and then fill this thing up. So this is what I got here. Some Motorcraft friction modifier, additive friction modifier. 4 ounces of that. That's what the owner's manual calls for this car. And then I've got 75/90 gear oil. Just gonna stick the hose into here. I got a little pump thing going on here. And I'll just start pumping until it starts flowing out some. I think at this point I'm actually going to add this friction modifier. That way I can get it all mixed in there nice and good like. Poke a hole in that guy. Oh. Okay, go straight back. Finish filling with gear oil. All right, finally got it to spill over. Not exactly sure how much actually went in, but like I said, the manual says 3.75 pints, which is almost 2.5 quarts. And I'm not going to let it drip all the way out just because I don't know if the axle tubes most likely did not get filled up with oil, so whatever extra oil is in there, it's going to stay in there and then fill up the axle tubes. And then we'll come back, check it. Probably need to fill it up just a little bit, but that'll be after I take it for a few test drives, take it around some corners, get that fluid into the axle tubes. All right, just to wrap up this rear differential fill, used a 75, well, I used a 75W90 oil with the Motorcraft friction modifier over there on the ground. This was the gasket that I used. Again, this is the Chinese garbage version of the lube locker gasket, but I'm pretty sure what got me was this part number here. I'm pretty sure they used the same one. But anyway, this was the broken bolts for the diff cover. And as you can see, there wasn't even really anything wrong with it, and it just snapped. So that's why I went with the decision to get all new ones. So yeah, now my neighbor's mowing his lawn. But anyway, this is the owner's manual for a 91 Foxbody. 3.75 pints for a 8.8 rear axle. And then right here, rear axle, conventional and track lock. You got XY90QL. And then you come down here, Add 4 ounces of friction modifier if you have the traction lock axle. And then rear axle lubricant levels are determined by filling to 1/4 inch to 9/16 below the bottom of the fill hole. But like I mentioned, the axle tubes are also empty, so we need to drive it and then fill it back up once we've driven it. With all that being said, I'm gonna move on to getting this fuel line routed up. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might throw on these wheels real quick. I think I'm gonna throw on these wheels, swap the ramps to the back here. I still actually, this wasn't on the list, but I still actually need to tighten down all the rear suspension from the last video. So I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that first. All right, so you can see I got all of the ramps moved over, all that jazz. Oh, come on. Moving on under here, I'm going to go ahead and tighten all the suspension down. Now that it is loaded with the vehicle's weight, you always want to tighten down suspension while the vehicle's weight is on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Pretty much everything is 18 mil. So the lower control arm, upper control arm, both bolts and nuts are 18 mil. The shock, actually I think is a 15 mil, and the quad shock on the forward side is 15 mil. The nut on the back of the quad shock 18 mil. And yeah, that's about it. So we get that all tightened down and then move on to the fuel line like I was originally planning. All right, the rear suspension is all tightened up. Now I'm going to move on to the fuel line here. As you can see, there's just a ton of extra fuel line going to the front here. I'm just going to loosen this clamp up and then try to just snake it back up into here. I think it's this line. Yeah, snake it back up into here. I might have to drop the tank a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure yet, so yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out, I guess. I got the return fuel line all wrapped up. I just ended up wrapping it around the filler neck here. I thought that was probably the best place instead of trying to stick it up in there and potentially getting it pinched off and whatnot. So I think this will be just fine. But yeah, it's better than having it all up in here loosely. But as you can see now, it is all routed nicely. So looks good. That's gonna pretty much wrap up the back here. I don't think there is anything else I need to do back here. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see if we can cross some of this stuff off here. Lug nuts, done. Diff, cover, fluid, and bolts, done. Let's see. Fuel lines, done. And then I also tightened down the rear suspension, which I didn't have on this list, but that's okay. I think the next thing I'll move on to is this shifter linkage here, which is almost done. That's going to be kind of the last thing I need to do. Well, I got to put the engine bolts in, but one of the last kind of getting in and out from underneath the car things I need to do. But yeah, let me clean up here a little bit, and then I'll run you guys through what I got for shifter link. So what I did for shifter linkage is, well, I got a 6R80 shifter linkage kit, and in this kit I used really just the rod and the bushing that came out of this guy right here. Would have been this guy. There's a little stud and a bushing that go into this part. I actually ended up using the shifter cable. Oh, where is it? Here we go. So this would have been on the transmission side, and there's a metal bracket that I'll show you guys. That guy right there, that is the original, this guy, the original bracket for this transmission. And like I said, I just put that bushing with the stud onto the factory bracket here, and then just bent up this bar to make it work around the 10R80. The 6R80 is narrower than the 10R80, so had to make some bends, heat it up, make some bends. I actually shortened it up, I don't know, probably, I don't know, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. At least this much, plus another 1/4 inch on top of that. There's another little piece. But yeah, cut it down, bent up the rod, and made it work. So, well, I don't know 100% if it works quite yet, because it'll move with the shifter, but I'm not 100% sure if it's actually going into the right gear that matches up on the shifter in the car. So once I actually get the car running, or it's running, once it's driving, I can mess with that, get it to into the proper gear, because there is an adjustment slot on the end of the rod, of course, on this end right here. Should be able to adjust it, but I'm not 100% sure how well that works, so I'll figure it out when I get there. While I was down there also, I put the engine mount bolts in. So engine mount bolts in, I marked off shifter linkage and then put ish, because not 100% able to verify it just yet. And the last thing that I can really do outside of kind of the wiring realm is move this overflow tank up. So that's what I'm gonna do now. It's just 2 bolts on the top here, and then it actually slides into some brackets on the bottom of the radiator. So just take those 2 bolts out, and then I'll slide up. So this kit, this overflow kit, came with two 90-degree brackets here, and I just flattened them out. I'm just gonna put one here, and then drill some holes, and then bolt it in. So that worked out pretty good. So, and it's kind of adjustable now, somewhat. Little adjustments there and there, so probably got like an inch of adjustment if we need it. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill these holes out and then get this thing installed. All right, there you go. Overflow tank is relocated. It is slightly touching this hose still. Yeah, but I think I can cut that down even more, but I'm not super worried about it. Everything worked out pretty good except for I ended up breaking the little shroud here, and yeah, well, that is what it is. It's still holding. It's still pretty solid. I don't imagine it causing me any issues in the future, and if it does, then I'll just have to figure out a better way to plastic weld this shroud back together. But that is one more thing off the list. I'm gonna call that a win. All that we have left is pretty much the wiring stuff. Windshield wipers, window switch, door locks. Windshield wipers, I've just decided I'm just going to let it ride out. Like I said before, it had this issue and then it just went away. So I'm kind of hoping that's what happens this time. If not, then I'll figure it out later. Door locks, I just need to extend this guy out, and then window switch, yes. I don't know what to do about that quite yet. I'll probably take apart the door panel, get in there and see what's going on, if there's even power. Well, yeah, like I said, there's power going to it because the power from, or the power for the windows, or the passenger side on this switch works. So I just don't know why the driver's side switch isn't working. So, yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and extend this wire Anyway, I'm gonna extend this wire and get this hooked up to power. All right, I've got it all wired up now. This is a constant 12 volts coming from the battery. It's actually going to the fuse, big fuse block down there. But it's constant 12 volt going to this essentially starter solenoid thing, which is actually for the fans and the AC and the computer turning on the fans. And there's the windshield wipers like I was talking about. They just randomly go off, even though this is off. Nope, there's off. Maybe I never had it off. Okay, well, there you go. Slightly autistic. Fixed windshield wipers, cool. And door locks, good. The driver's door is locked now. The actual motor for the driver's side here is trashed, so I have to manually lock it. You can hear it, but it's not locking. But passenger side does work. And like I was saying, oh, let me put the key back in here real quick. Passenger window, the window motor is burnt out or something, I don't know. But it works. But driver's side does not for some reason. But like I was saying for like the 5th time now, the power goes into the master switch here for the passenger side, so I'm not sure why it wouldn't work. Like, it works perfectly for the passenger side, so there's no reason why the driver's side should not work. Anyway, turn the key off here. Yeah. Well, that's the last thing pretty much on this list besides me actually starting the car and topping off fluids. So I guess I'll get started on this window. Yippee. All right, well, I guess you just got to tear everything apart and wiggle some wires and it should work. Honestly, I think it might have been... one of these wires or something, I don't know. But I think these are the ones going to the window motor. So, all right, cool. That's gonna get checked off the list. Keep it down for now. Okay, we've checked everything off the list besides fuel pressure, trans fluid, power steering fluid, and shift check. I added that one because I did the shifter linkage, but I'm not 100% sure if it is adjusted correctly to where it'll go into each gear that I need it to. So added that to the list. Trans fluid, I have to check at temperature anyway. Fuel pressure, I just need the car running. And then power steering fluid, I just need it to run for a few seconds really, and then I can top it off. But yeah, got the diff fluid done, got the rear suspension all tightened up, got all the wheels on, all the lug nuts on. What else was on this list? Door locks, window switch. Oh, the overflow tank, messed that up, but whatever, it'll be okay for now. Engine mount bolt, did that. Windshield wipers, I figured out how to use a windshield wiper switch on a Foxbody. Anyway, that's fixed. And, oh, the fuel line. Put that, wrap that up. Kind of jankily, honestly, but it'll work. Yeah, next video will be gauge cluster. I moved it in there earlier because I was grinding stuff on the bench. Anyway, that'll be the next video. I'm picking up the drive shaft tomorrow. Honestly, I think I might do the gauge cluster video tonight. Or I might have to edit this video tonight. I don't know. Either way, the gauge cluster video is going to be the next video. Picking up the drive shaft tomorrow. And then that next week will be, I will film the first drive and then go from there, see what happens. But if you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll catch you on the next one.